Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and I am back with yet another series from the NASL Season 2. In this series, I will be featuring a PvZ, and we will be having mouzMorrow spawning as the blue Zerg player over here on the left side, on the life side as they would say at the GSL, of NASL dual site. And over here on the top right, we are going to have none other than mouzMana. I do not know very much about these two players. I know Mana is a fairly decent Protoss. Morrow used to be a much bigger Zerg player than he is now. He's kind of fallen off the train just a little bit. But I don't really know much about either of their strategies. So whatever happens in this game will be kind of news to me. It looks like we are going to have mouzMana setting up for a fast expand, which is so popular versus Zerg, this Forge fast expand. I don't know if he purposely placed his pylon all the way over here, but that forge cannot be made quite next to the ramp there, which is normally what you kind of want to do, is help wall this area off a little bit. We did have quite an early scout coming out of Mana, probably just making sure that he's not going to be seeing any sort of six pool. This also allows him to see if there's a hatchery over at the expansion, because if there is a very, very early hatch, Mana can actually do a 17 Nexus and be just fine. However, we will be seeing a spawning pool before hatch and before extractor. So Mana is definitely going to want to be getting that forge down, be getting a gateway down, maybe even, but it looks like he might. There goes a probe. There we go. There's the forge, a little bit late. It's kind of a slow reaction to that, but that's not too big of a deal, as the forge will be finished in time, and more likely than not, the cannon will be finished in time to defend against that. So, real quickly, I'd like to talk about the Forge fast expand. Generally, you want to just replace your gateway with the Forge. So, if you do a 13 gate, you'll want to replace that with a Forge. If you do, a 12 gate, just put the Forge down when that would be. And if you scout your opponent going for a fast expand, if you scout your Zerg opponent going for a really fast expand, like a 14 or 15 hatch, you can actually go 17 Nexus before Forge. Oh my goodness. And real quickly, just look at this probe being so pesky, finally losing that probe, and there were 4 Zerglings coming down the ramp, so that hatchery was going to be stopped shortly. But that probe being so pesky right there, halting the expansion from Morrow. We do have 4 Zerglings moving across the map now, coming over here, and it looks like they might be able to actually get up the ramp if something isn't placed down here fairly shortly. But as I was saying, you can actually lay down a 17 Nexus if you see your Zerg opponent go for a very early hatch, like a 15 hatch or so. And no, it looks like this might actually be wall off. That's going to be kind of a close thing, and no, it does look like indeed that is not wall off. However, this cannon is not finished yet, and these Zerglings can actually run all the way up into the base. This is going to be kind of close, and it looks like a lot of probes to pull, trying to halt them from getting in the base, but one Zergling does get in. It will be able to get a full scout off of absolutely nothing. 3 Zerglings get in, actually. 1 Zergling down to a very, very low amount of health, down to 3 health, just set on a little bit of a moving pattern throughout the base. However, since there's nothing here, that's not too big of a deal. All that Morrow is going to see really is just the second gas going down, but I mean that's no surprise whatsoever. Looks like a probe actually does go down. These Zerglings are going to be just a little bit annoying here. And he did lose 1 Zergling to get that probe, but since these probes are technically already kind of, since these Zerglings are already kind of sacrificed, that's not too big of a deal. And it looks like, once again, these Zerglings just poking in, trying to take out a couple of probes. There are a couple of weakened probes right now without the shields, which will begin regenerating shortly. However, just picking up the probes on the outside does get 1 more probe, just being super, super annoying with this. And in the meantime, I would imagine that Morrow's just droning up. He actually is a little bit supply blocked right now, just having a couple Overlords pop, and yes, indeed, we are having a big drone round. Morrow does know that it is safe to drone because he can see everything that's going on inside here. That Forge fast expand also does limit a little bit what exactly a Protoss player can do in the early game. Morrow knows that Mana cannot really do anything until at least around the 9-minute mark, which is about when the 6 gate timing push would hit. And with the Forge fast expand, that is really the first thing a Zerg player needs to worry about, is that first timing. 1 more Zergling does go down, so we do have just 1 more running around the base. In the meantime, metabolic boosts on the way for our Zerg player, and it looks like these Zerglings getting awfully close over here, denying the mining at this assimilator and from these 2 mineral patches here. But a Stalker does come in and does manage to take out 1 Zergling. Will it get the next Zergling? And yes, indeed, it will get the second Zergling. In the meantime, we still do have 1 Zergling running around in the main base. However, that will also be taken out by the Stalker. So finally, getting those Zerglings out of the base, Mana can lay down pretty much whatever tech he would like to. And Yeah, it's really up to him. He is taking his third guy for now. And it looks like mouzMorrow decided to do a fast third base. That would probably be a third around the 6:30 mark. Around the 6:30 mark. So, about a 40 supply expand for mouzMorrow. Willing to take a third base. That is exactly what you need to do as a Zerg player to be able to counter a Forge fast expand from a Protoss player. Because really, as a Zerg player, you always want to be up one base over your opponent. It looks like mouzMorrow may be gearing up for a little bit of aggression, as he does have this ground weapon level 1 on the way, which is also important because it allows your Zealot to kill Zerglings in 2 hits rather than 3. We do also have a Twilight Council on the way for our Protoss player. How many gates are we up to? We have 3. That is the Twilight Council. 4, 5, 6. No, we have 5 gates. So we currently have a 5-gate Twilight all the way for Mana. So we may be looking to see a timing push here with some sort of, maybe some sort of blink play. Might even go into Archon. It'll be interesting to see what he does. In the meantime, we do still have mouzMorrow just droning up super hard. In the Harvest tab, we do have 49 to 42 Harvesters. That Chrono Boost really helping Mana stay in the game. But with this third base up, it won't be long before mouzMorrow really can start taking the lead. And indeed, we are seeing ground weapons level 2 and Blink on the way for our Protoss player. I'm not surprised in the slightest to see that play out of Mana. Blink play very popular versus Zerg. However, I'm a little, I wouldn't say worried because it actually does turn out to be a good counter. But the Roach Warren here has been unscouted by Mana. Mana is just blindly going for this Blink tech. And while Blink is good pretty much against all Zerg, there are better things that he could be doing. For instance, if there was a Hydralisk down over here, Blink wouldn't be the option you'd really want to go. You'd probably want to go for a Templar Archive in that case to get Storm, maybe some Archons on the field. Nonetheless, that is not of consequence at the time because what's done is done, and I am not dictating this game. We do finally have some Roaches coming out. It looks like we are seeing some Infestors right there. So I'm wondering if our Zerg player mouzMorrow might be going for some sort of Roach Infestor Broodlord composition, which is very popular. We are seeing melee attacks level 1 on the way, which would apply to those broodlings from the broodlords. So I would assume that that is the eventual goal of our Zerg player, but he can take as much time as he would like to getting there. We are going to be seeing double Evo Chamber out of our Zerg player, and no real engagement so far. I mean, it's been a very passive game. Some Zerglings have come out now to just kind of take map control, scout around, see what's going on, and he will see this pylon going up, so he's going to know that Mana is looking to take a third base. I don't think he'll be able to get this pylon though, as the army for Mana does move down. There are a lot of sentries. There are 6 sentries in that army right now, and that is quite a few. That is quite a few sentries. But once those sentries die, you really don't want to make more as a Protoss player because those are 100 gas each. They are very expensive. We are seeing pathogen glands coming out of our Zerg player now. Once again, a very passive game. Just upgrades for our Zerg player. And I don't really know who's ahead in that right. We do see Mana deciding to push out a little bit here. And the tech advantage doesn't really go to either player, as we do have Infestor on the... Well, actually, I don't know if any Infestor are on the field yet. No, there are no Infestors on the field. There are actually just a lot of Zerglings made to try to counter this. It'll be kind of a close battle. There are a lot of sentries that are very good against Zerglings, obviously. Being able to stop this round, cut Zergling armies in half. And it looks like this third base is going to be immediately taken out by our Protoss player. That was no problem whatsoever. And we do have ground weapons level 3 unpowered because there was a Zergling and Roach counterattack going into the natural expansion of Mana. Now it looks like they're also going to be able to get this exit, so that was kind of an even trade between the two players. However, I'd say mouzMorrow is in a fairly good position right now, as it is 157 to 100 supply. A lot of pylons being made for our Protoss player. However, I don't know if it's going to be enough. And it looks like I do not see the armies for... There they are. The armies for Mana have just now fallen back, and it looks like mouzMorrow is perfectly happy stacking a lot of his armies to be able to take out that main nexus of our Protoss player. Now it looks like the Roaches are finally being able to be dwindled. Some very nice forces going down this battle. The Roach is trying to get a nice round, but that battle is over, and I would definitely say that mouzMorrow came out ahead in that combat. 141 to 74 supply. Mana in a lot of trouble. Now, mouzMorrow is going around and sniping pylons. I really like that. Mana doesn't even have a nexus anymore. I don't know exactly what he can do at this point in the game, as he has no Nexus. He doesn't have enough minerals to make a Nexus, and it looks like Mana is just going to have to all in, pulling all his probes across the map. This will not be difficult at all for Morrow to hold, especially considering he has pathogen glands. So 3 infestors on the way will be able to fungal growth immediately after coming out, creating 32 Zerglings as well, and just throwing down massive amounts of spine crawlers, because Morrow knows if he holds this off, Mana is done for. Now it looks like one infestor will get picked off after getting one fungal growth down. So that's helpful. But you don't really want to lose those if you don't have to. Infestor's obviously not a cheap unit, very gas heavy for the Zerg player, but it looks like here comes the attack. It looks like these probes are going to be able to get there before the spine crawl is finished. Morrow just biding his time a little bit. I don't know what exactly he's doing, but a lot of very nice force fields do go down. I do believe Morrow has plenty to be able to win this combat though, as a lot of Zerglings and Roachers are on the field, and trying to get us around. However, there's the beautiful force fields cutting up the back entrance, and there's the GG. Well played, good luck from Mana in game number 1 in this best of 5 series. Very, very nice game from both these players, but I'd definitely say that Morrow just had time to macro up as much as he possibly wanted to. Mana allowed Morrow to just get all sorts of upgrades, and while he was at 2 attack, Morrow was able to get to 2 attack himself in 1 armor and get the pathogen glands for his infestors, take 3 base without even seeing a scratch from Mana. So really, that was just a very, very well played game by Morrow. I'm very curious to see what he does in game number 2. I would expect to see another macro game because this one went very well for him. So please stick around, and I will be back with game number 2 in just a few moments. Until then, this is Coffee Break, signing out.